Hello, this is Tip Top Gaming here today with another Throne of Eldraine spoiler video. Now, in the last video, we talked about, of course, the Buy Box promo, and today we have a bunch of cool spoilers and one card that I am super excited that is being reprinted. So why don't we hop right into this? First, we have, of course, our white cards, and we have True Love's Kiss. It's a 4-cost instant. Exile target artifact or enchantment. Draw a card. I mean, that's kind of morbid when you think about it. Because he kind of became an artifact, and then, oh, I'm going to kiss you, and boof, you're gone. But I guess the draw card is kind of part of that lore, or that theme. I'm surprised this isn't like a turn an artifact into a creature kind of thing. Then we have, and of course it's a common. If I don't say much about how it's going to impact the game, just assume that it's not going to impact the game, because I don't see this being played more than something like Turn to Nature. Or, yeah. Then we have Righteousness. It's a 1-cost instant. It says target blocking creature gets +7/+7 until end of turn for 1. That is amazing. Some practical applications of this are you're blocking something. Obviously, this is a kill spell unless if for some reason your creature has 0 toughness. And they have like 8 power or 8 toughness, I guess. But this should kill something. And if you put on something like a lifelinker, which white has a lot of, you just gained like between 7 and like 10 health. So that is a very good card. Next, we have Beloved Princess, which is a 1/1 with lifelink for 1, and it can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. This is just a generally good card. I think that Healer's Hawk is better. However, this does have human and noble synergy, so that could be add something here. Then we have Trapped in the Tower. It's a 2-cost enchantment aura, and it says enchant creature without flying. Very flavorful. An enchanted creature can't attack or block, and its abilities can't be activated. This is a pretty good card. I think it could see play in white decks. However, effects like this, like Luminous Bonds, I don't see in a lot of competitive white decks. But I don't know. Because I feel like they would rather just exile it for 1 more. Because you could pay 1 more and just exile the creature. But yeah. And then we have Harmonious Archon, which is a 6-cost creature Archon mythic. I assume there's going to be a cycle of these. So it's flying, and it says non-Archon creatures you control or non-Archon creatures, period, have base power and toughness 3/3. So if your opponent doesn't have any Archons, this will always be bigger. If your opponent has 1 really big creature, like a mass, well, now it's a 3/3. And then whenever it enters the battlefield, create 2/1/1 white human creature tokens, which are actually 3/3 creature tokens, and they will trade with literally any creature. Just to note, this will buff up your opponent's creatures if they have a bunch of 1/1s. I could totally see this going in a sort of tokeny deck where it creates lots of 1/1s, and now, oh, they're all 3/3s, so I could totally see this being played, which I would hope since it's a mythic. Next, we have Sir Eleonora, the Discerning. By the way, the reason this looks like this, and I probably should have explained this earlier, is that these cards were released in a different language, and these are the translations. We have Legendary Creature, Human Knight. Sir Eleonora's power is equal to the number of cards in your hand. Whenever it enters the battlefield, draw a card. So ideally, when it enters the battlefield, assuming you don't die that turn or something, it has 1 toughness, or like if you don't mill yourself. Spells your opponents control that target her cost 2 more to cast. I mean, I could see this being interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. Then we have Stolen by the Fae. It's a blue X sorcery, and it says return target creature with converted mana cost. What's the word I'm looking for? Converted mana cost X to its owner's hand, which is a pretty bad spell, but then you get to create X 1/1 blue fairy creature tokens with flying. I think if we see more fairy boosts, right now there's not that much fairy boosts. I mean, there's lots of tribal boosts where it's like choose a tribe, but I was expecting more fairy specific stuff. However, I think they may have learned from Ixalan that picking a specific tribe and putting on a creature, if that's like the whole set, the set won't do that well. Also, I just noticed a mistake. Sir Eleonora is covering up the generic mana cost. It does cost 3 and 2 blue, so it does not cost 2 blue. It costs 5. Then we have Gadwick the Wizened. It's a blue X spell, and it says when it enters the battlefield, draw X cards. Hey, these guys kind of work well together. Whenever you cast a blue spell, tap target non-land permanent an opponent controls. That is also very interesting. I think this could be a fun brawl or commander. I don't see it having too much impact on the meta currently. Then we have my favorite card being reprinted, Opt. So, for those of you who don't know, when Throne of Eldraine is released, all cards from M19, Dominaria, Rivals of Ixalan, and Ixalan are all being rotated out of Standard unless a card from them is printed here. Then you can still use your copies of those from, like, Dominaria in decks in Standard. And since Opt is being reprinted, that means you can keep using Opt. Opt is just an amazing card, and I'm very glad it's staying in Standard. I know a lot of people were actually kind of excited, because this is almost an auto-include in, like, a lot of blue decks, and so it might be nice to have a meta where Opt isn't the, like, we have Shock, we have Opt, and I hope those stay in the meta. However, it would be interesting to see a meta without something like that, and I'll be actually talking about that more here in just a second, about cards that will be missed with rotation. Then we have Ayara, First of Locthwain, which is a 3-cost legendary creature elf noble, and whenever it or another black creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life, and then you can tap and sacrifice a black creature to draw a card. That is generally really good. A sacrifice outlet that doesn't cost any mana. Sure, you have to tap it, which does make it infinitely worse. It's still very good. It also only hits black creatures, but it does say draw a card, and so you sacrifice a black creature, draw another black creature, you make it, and you cast it, your opponents take damage, so this card works really well. Now, we can't see its stats, but to me that looks like maybe like a 2/5 or 2/4, and yeah. If we take a look at the blue cards, we have Gadwick, who's a 3/3, which I feel like they could be modeling the triple colors. That could be a cycle as well, so yeah. Now let's talk about red, and we have Scorching Dragonfire, which is a 2-cost instant, and it deals 3 damage to target creature or player. If that creature or player would die, or planeswalker would die this turn, exile it instead. Now, I want to bring up Lightning Strike and Wizard's Lightning are both being rotated out of the format, meaning we will not have a 2-cost instant speed deal 3 damage to anything, of any type. You know, and I think that's a real shame. I think it'll be interesting. Now, I noticed that we have Chandra's Triumph and this card, and they haven't printed a lot of deal blank damage to target player, or at least not one that mixes with other like can also target creatures or planeswalkers. So that makes me think they're trying to avoid a burn style like meta. And they're doing that by reprinting it, but it makes all the cards look worse. But with those cards rotating out, our options for deal 3 damage to any target turn to skewer the critics. So I think this will see a lot of play. If you're not trying to hit players with it, and, you know, this is clearly better than Lightning Strike. However, it's not better than Lightning Strike because it can't hit players. Next, we have Opportunistic Dragon. It's a 4-cost flying 4/3 dragon. When it enters the battlefield, choose target human or artifact an opponent controls. For as long as it remains on the battlefield, gain control of that permanent. It loses all abilities and can't attack or block. So you're not actually stealing it to use it. You're stealing it as a removal spell. And it can only target humans or artifacts, so there is a high chance that your opponent, this literally is just a 4/3 for 4 flying, which I guess is okay, but I feel like this is very narrow. I think this will be a dud rare. Next, we have a card I love, which is 7 Dwarves. It's a 2-cost 2/2, and it says 7 Dwarves gets +1/+1 for each other creature named 7 Dwarves you control, and you can have 7 cards named 7 Dwarves in your deck. So I totally want to build a deck around this, especially because they're commons, and on MTG Arena you only need 4 of them. So I think this will be pretty awesome. I don't think this will affect the meta really, but this will be cool, especially in a draft environment. You may be able to get something going here, because in draft you can have any number of cards with the same name in them. So yeah, I like this card. It's a Persistent Petitioner or Rats kind of thing. Next, we have, of course, the artifacts, and we have Gingerbrute, which is a 1/1 for 1 artifact creature food golem, and it has haste, because it's, you know, the gingerbread man, and he runs really fast, and it can't be blocked. You can pay 1 to make it so it can't be blocked but by anything unless it has haste. Not the ginger root, but unless the creature blocking it has haste. And then you can pay 2 and do the food ability. Next we have Spinning Wheel. You can pay 3 and tap it to add 1 mana of any color. Pretty classic ability. And then you can pay 5 and tap target creature. Better than something like Manalith, but no one uses Manalith, so I think I'd rather play Chromatic Lantern. Sure, that's a rare, but Chromatic Lantern, if you're generally doing this, you're doing it for the mana of any color. I don't, although we need to be very careful of any artifact creatures, because Steel Overseer is a card which says tap, put a +1/+1 counter on all artifact creatures, so that kind of makes all artifact creatures much better, and just makes artifacts better. So then we have Inquisitive Puppet. It's a 1-cost 0/2, and when it enters the battlefield, scry 1, and then you can exile him to create a 1/1 white human creature token. This could be useful. I mean, with Steel Overseer, I'm not going to discount any artifact creature. So that's all the spoilers for today. A couple less than normal. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.